is now Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th Ed D&D. Well, when we last left off, we've been diving deep into magical items, talking all about them. Well, we got into it because we were talking about treasure in general. So you know what? Today we're going to talk about another type of magic item. Sentient magic items. So the book, as I kind of was talking about last time, lists every normal magic item there is. But there is some exceptions to the versions of these magic items that exist. In this case, sentient ones. Now, a sentient magic item has a mind. Whether this is because the item itself is possessed, haunted, or maybe even in the course of its creation, some form of personality and mind was given birth to inside the item itself. It's any of these options that could exist. The reason behind it could be unknown, but regardless, it has a mind. It will have a personality, just like any other NPC. Any kind of quirks, traits, bonds, perhaps even some flaws. The fact is, this item could be a cherished ally and great friend to a character, or an annoying thorn in their side at all times. Both forms of sentient magic items exist out there. Most sentient items, weapons. Weapons are the vast majority of it, though some other items can gain sentient, and you'll find them. Rings, cloaks, other things, wands, staffs, they can gain sentience. The only kind of items you will not find with sentience, consumable items, such as potions and scrolls. They will never be sentient. A sentient item is an NPC under a DM's control, just like any other NPC, and will be controlled according to what the personality would demand. Now, the weapon or item itself, sentient item, has control of any kind of properties that the item itself has. Anything that it would be able to activate or deactivate, the item can do it. So if you are in good relations with your item, guess what? It's not going to deny you the abilities, you're going to get them all. If you're in bad relations, it might withhold these abilities, preventing you from using them, or it might reverse them on you, creating some kind of penalty, using them against you in some kind of way. The item has this control, and you're going to have to live with it. Now, when you're making a sentient magic item, you're probably going to be doing this, of course, as the dungeon master. That's the important note here. You're going to make it exactly like you make a magic item to begin with, and then also an NPC. You're going to be combining both an NPC and a magic item at the same time. There are some various exceptions you'll have to learn on the NPC side. First off, your intelligent magic item, your sentient one, only 3 ability scores: intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These are the only 3 that it will have. It doesn't have a physical body of any kind. It can't move itself. You're the mobility of it. So no strength, dexterity, or constitution. Now, when you're determining the ability scores, you can just choose what they are, or you could go a little random. If you're going random, you will roll 4d6 for each of them and subtract the lowest dice for each. So it will be anywhere from 3 to 18 on all 3 of their scores. Now, also, it's going to have some kind of way of communicating. Now, a sentient item's communication could be through sharing emotions, could be through telepathic connections, or it could actually just speak. It could just be a talking sword, and you're going to have to live with that talking that everybody can hear. The exact nature of this, again, can be just chosen by you, the dungeon master, as you're building this item. Or there are charts that you can roll on for a random chance. If you just want a little bit of variety, roll, figure it out. Now, the item, because it is sentient, it does sense the world around it. It needs some kind of senses. It will have an area of perception and types of senses for that perception. Again, this is another thing that you can either choose from, or there's a chart in the book that you can roll on. Now, granted, your choices could be easily from the chart or something based upon the chart. Now, your sentient item will have an alignment. This alignment could be the alignment of the creator. You could take a look at what the item is supposed to do, the various things it can do, its personality, and then determine alignment off of that. Or you, as the dungeon master, could come up with any kind of alignment you want to and fit everything to it. The fact is, once again, there's also a chart you can roll on to make it simple. There's only so many alignments to choose from, so you're going to be looking at those regardless and figuring out what this magic item has for an alignment. It's going to work best with the people that match this alignment, though it still might work with people that don't. this is something that's going to be important when determining the friction / not friction that you and the item, well, the wielder and the item will get. Now, of course, once you're building the personality, which is going to be very important, you're building it just like an NPC, there's another factor you're going to want to add in here. The special features of magic items. This is a point in time where you're definitely going to want to roll or to choose things for those special features like we talked about with magic items. They will add history to this sentient item and a lot of basic information that can help you determine a lot of what it means to be this item, what its purpose, who made it, the alignment. This sort of information does help you out in building this sentient magic item and its personality. Why it would think this way, act this way. Now, many sentient items will have a purpose. Something that they are either created originally for to do, or the intelligence inside is compelled to do. The sentience itself feels the need to actually do to accomplish. And these can be very specific, they can be very broad-ended. There are some suggestions, once again, within the book you can look at, roll on, use them as a basis, or just choose one. But regardless, there very well might be conflict between the item and the person because of this purpose. If the person is basically going along with the item's purpose, it's going to love it. As long as it's not doing anything that's against its purpose, it'll probably love the person. It's as soon as this person here, the person wielding the item, decides to do something that's against the purpose, or tries to basically ignore the purpose completely, does the item actually become concerned. And then a conflict begins to occur. In this case, the magic item, the sentient item, can attempt to exert its will over the person that's there. If I'm battling mind-wise with this, we both roll charisma. Charisma checks. If I win as the wielder, I'm fine, nothing happens. If the weapon wins, there are 4 demands that it can choose one or more of to basically shove upon you. It's like, I demand this, this, and this, or I demand this and this, or I just demand this, depending on what's going on and what's causing the problems between you and the item. Well, I, as the wielder, have the choice whether to acquiesce to this or resist it. If I resist it, the sentient item has 3 more options it can choose from. 3 more dire options that it will try to press upon me. Of course, the most dire of them all being, it exerts control over me. If it tries to exert control over me, this isn't an automatic thing. No. I get a charisma save to attempt to keep it from taking on my mind. It is a charisma save DC 12 plus my weapon's charisma modifier. So, if I make it, I resist it. If I fail it, I'm charmed by my weapon. I will be charmed for 1d12 hours, over which time my sentient item, weapon, whatever, will be able to basically command me what to do and put me in various directions. Now, if I should reach a danger where I'll be injured, I get another save to attempt to basically break control every time I'm injured, because it's like, oh, why am I doing this? It's hurting a lot. But if I don't get hurt and it just has me do something, well, it just has me do it. So, I mean, the weapon itself will have a kind of intelligence on what it's going to do. And the fact is, there is an important fact. Because it's only 1d12 hours, the weapon itself can only exert this control once a day, refreshed every dawn. That means, though it might control me for up to 12 hours a day, I have the other 12 hours to figure out what to do with this baby because I'm very unhappy with it, and it can exert that control again. So you can see how the relationship can definitely get strained, especially if it's trying to get you to do things you don't want to do. Now, there are a number of intelligent magic items exampled in the book. These are ones that you, of course, can use these sentient items all you want, or it gives you a guideline on when you're building something, when you're creating something new. And that's it for today. Alright, so we talked about sentient magic items. We talked about the basics of creating one, basics of the relationship between the person and the wielder. These are important things that you're going to have to know about, because if you start using them, you're going to have to pay attention to a lot of these things. And it's effectively another NPC. You will treat it like an NPC. This is an important fact I will note even now. I talked about it in the episode. I'm noting it again because you can't forget. It's an NPC just as great as the mayor of the town that you're adding in. Probably more because it's going to be hanging out with your characters for so long. Regardless, though, in the next episode, we're going to move on from sentient items and we're going to start talking about artifacts. The most powerful type of all magic items you can find, with insane ways of destroying them, but also insane powers, far beyond anything you could imagine. We'll talk about them and using them in your games too. But I hope you're having a great day, and until the next time, I bid you farewell.